Hey guys, I just had a piece of chocolate and I'm here to tell Rebekah's birth story. She was born 4 days ago at 39 weeks at 2 a.m. and I had a completely natural, unmedicated labor, and I was only in labor for 3 hours. And my husband took Ruben out to go grocery shopping, so I thought it would be a really good time to film this video. And I'm really tired. I've been up nursing a lot. I'm still hoarse from vocalizing during labor, and I want to get these thoughts down before I forget. So so I had a lot of fear when I went into this pregnancy about labor, because my son's labor was really intense and I felt really out of control of my body, and I felt a lot of shame over getting an epidural. It took a while for the shame to come, so I really wanted a natural labor with Rebekah for 2 reasons. One was because of the issue of shame, like I talked about. I wanted to prove I could do it, I suppose. And 2 is that when I got the epidural with my son, it really slowed down my labor. And the place where I got the epidural still hurts sometimes. And I was a little worried that maybe something had gone wrong, or something could go wrong if I got another one. So those were my motivations behind doing a natural labor, which I think any labor that a woman wants is fine. I'm talking personally for me. And I'm going to talk more about the differences in my labors and the revolutionary mindset that I have now about labor because of having a medicated and an unmedicated labor. But first I'm going to tell her birth story. So I went into labor at 11 p.m. Around 11, I heard this popping noise. I was kind of in and out of sleep, and it was my water breaking. So I got up and I had a contraction right away, and I was like, is this a contraction, or is I was having prodromal labor all week, or is this just more prodromal labor? But it was actual contractions, and they picked up pretty fast. They were coming about every 3 to 4 minutes apart right away. So I was laboring on the ball. I was using the rebozo to help, and I was moaning and low moaning through the contractions. I texted my doula. My husband got things ready. My son was asleep, so we had my mother-in-law come over. We had a friend that was going to watch him, so we were going to bring Ruben to her. My brain. We were going to bring Ruben to her in the morning and have my mother-in-law watch him at night so he could just sleep. But I ended up giving birth 3 hours later, so he was still asleep. And where was I? So I labored on the ball. It was going pretty good at home. But then we had to go to the hospital, and sitting in the car on the way to the hospital was torturous. It was awful. It was totally the wrong position. So we got to the hospital. I barely remember getting into the room. I immediately filled the tub up. They have a tub with jets. And I got in the tub, and my doula got there, and she was helping me through contractions, and I was moaning and working through it, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. I remember, let's see, I'd been there for about an hour. So this is 2 hours into labor. And when the contraction was happening, I wanted an epidural, and I would say I would like an epidural. But then after the contraction was over, they were about 2 minutes apart at this time, I would be like, okay, we're gonna get the next one, and I don't want an epidural. It was just in the middle of the pain that I wanted it. And I was only thinking of one contraction at a time. So I wasn't thinking of, oh, I'm gonna have 10 more. I was thinking, I just wanna get through this one. And my contractions were lasting for about a minute, my doula said, but I wasn't aware of the time. I wasn't really aware of who was around me. Last time I was in labor, I was wearing one of those gowns, but I was completely naked, which now thinking about it is slightly embarrassing, but at the time I could not wear clothes. They were uncomfortable to me. I wanted them off. So I was just naked and whatever. So they checked me when I got there. I was at a 4. An hour later, I was at an 8. And I knew I was at an 8 because suddenly I felt the urge to push, and I said, I gotta push, I gotta get out of this tub. So I got out of the tub, I got in the bed. My mom and my friend were there, as well as my husband and my doula. And they were both, everyone was really supportive, but I wasn't really aware of my surroundings. And I had 2 more contractions at an 8, and then I hit 10 centimeters. And this is kind of when I lost it. And I don't want to scare you guys because I got through it because I had to. But there is a point called transition where my doula and everyone says that you just kind of lose it. I don't really know how to explain it. I screamed a bit and I begged God to kill me. And I begged God to help me through the contractions. I begged people around me to help me because the pain was so bad. I don't really know how to describe it except for that there comes a point in time during labor when it's all primal instinct. And I was going from all 4s to my back to pulling up on things to pushing. They were telling me to push. I was thinking in my head, I don't want to push. I don't want a baby to come out of me. I just want the pain to stop. And at that point, it was only 20 minutes later that she was born. But to me, it felt like hours. Every contraction, every time, it just felt so intense. So much was happening in my body. I think labor pushes you to a point, or it pushed me to a point where I was beyond the point of functioning, of coping, where all I could do was beg God to help me. And I think a lot of women reach that point, and it was the most beautiful moment and also the most terrifying moment like in my whole life. I have no words for it. It was just, and then after every contraction would end, like I think I only had 3 or 4 before she came out, but I was just praying to God that the next one she would come out because I didn't know if I was gonna live. And the moment that I pushed her out and she came out, I think I screamed that I was dying. I talked to my husband about it. I was like, was it scary to see me lose it during labor? And he said no, that he expected it, and that it was beautiful, and he thought I was the strongest, most amazing human being in the whole world. And so she came out and they put her on my chest, and I was just I was angry at her for causing me so much pain. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I was. So I held her and I just relaxed, and the after pain didn't start right away. There is contractions afterward to get the placenta out and to contract the uterus. I'm actually still having some, but they're not So I got a really nice, I think it was about a 30-minute to an hour rest where there was nothing happening. And she just sat on my chest and made little baby noises, and I just looked at her, and I was like, throughout my whole labor I was extremely nauseous, but I didn't throw up. With my son, I did throw up a lot during labor, but she was there, and I had one small tear that they stitched up, and it wasn't that bad. I was kind of afraid at that point. So they stitched me up. They checked her out. She was latched on and nursing like a champ. She was 8 pounds, I believe 6 ounces, or 8 pounds 9 ounces. My son was 10 pounds 6 ounces, so he was very big. And I just remember just processing through labor and processing through everything that happened and just trying to relax and enjoy the moment. And that's her birth story, as much as I can remember it. My doula was amazing. She was so amazing, and my husband was amazing. They were both right there supporting me. My mom and my friend were amazing. Like, I don't think they knew. My mom didn't really know what to do. I just remember looking at them helplessly, like helplessly. Because you're just in so much pain that you just can't do anything. But it was amazing and awful all at the same time. It made me realize, because of, I don't know where I got this idea, but I got the idea that because they got the epidural last time, that's why everything was so intense and crazy and I wasn't in control. Here's what I think now. No matter if you have an epidural birth, an unmedicated natural birth, or if you have a C-section, you are not in control of birth. Birth is something that happens to you, and the only thing you can do is try to get through it as best you can. And no matter what kind of birth you have, there's going to be a point where you're going to have a human come out of your body, and it's going to be the most traumatic and emotional and mental and physical, stressful thing that you've ever done. And it's going to be crazy and wonderful and beautiful, and it's going to break you in a way that you've never been broken before. No matter what, like my medicated birth with my epidural broke me emotionally and physically and mentally. And my unmedicated birth with my daughter broke me emotionally, physically, and mentally. I'm not saying like in a bad way, I'm saying like in a beautifully horrific way. That's the only way that I can put it. And I'm sure that if I ever end up with another birth and I end up with a C-section, that will also break me in a similar way. I just think birth is beautiful, and that no matter how you do it, you deserve cake and awards, and you're an amazing person for a human coming out of you. That's how I feel now. I used to feel a lot of stress and anxiety about my first birth, and I used to feel bad that I got an epidural. You know what I feel like now? I feel like amazing about my first and my second birth. I feel like I survived a human coming out of my body, and that's all that matters. And no shame. What you doing? She's asleep. So yeah, this is Rebekah, Kathryn, and she is 4 days old, I think, and I love her very much, and we are stressed and we are tired, but she's beautiful. And I can't believe that she came out of me. And I know I didn't get through birth, any of my births, because of anything I did. The only way I got through birth was relying on the people around me and relying on God and surrendering and dying to myself in some kind of unfathomable way that I've never experienced before. And I keep thinking about it, and all I want to do is go out and shout from the rooftops that a human came out of me. And I want to tell everyone how amazing it is. And also how horrible it is. And I hope no matter what your birth is, or what birth you've had with your children, that you are proud of it. Because at the end of the day, a human came out of you. So yeah. Whew, it's an emotional thing. So emotional. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this on my YouTube channel. I have videos that I've made scheduled up until, let's see, it looks like the middle of May. So I'm gonna take a break and just enjoy my family and take care of them and be taken care of, because a human came out of me. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.